increasing their effective range and attack. So looking at it, let's see. Ammo capacity 9, reload time 1.5, effect 201% attack damage, 200% attacking to core. That's okay. She is a full clip reload shotgun, not a like a clip reload shotgun. Another thing is this maximum effective range increases by 20% on skill 1. Here is the range values for each weapons. Assault rifle is 20 to 45, minigun is 35 to 55, rocket launcher no range restriction, shotgun is 0 to 25, SMG is 15 to 35, sniper rifle is 45 to 100. Now that 20% increase on effective range, it's a question of, is it a 20% increase from 25, so 25% times 20, so is it a plus 5, so it would be 30%, or is it a direct percentage, so from 25% it will go to 45%, which makes it basically equal to between from 0 to 45, so similar to assault rifle effective range. Assault rifle effective range is, it happens every so often. It's not really super common on some bosses, but there are a good number of them that you reach. So it's typically either the assault rifle range or the sniper rifle range. That's where typically the bosses are. Very little situation where the shotgun is effective against a boss. So I just want to give you a heads up. Another thing is the pellets is somehow not mentioned in the EN post, but actually in the Korean post they mentioned it. But pellets is the number of bullets fired at once. Even if the number of pellets increase, it is fired at once. The total damage does not change. So if you guys didn't know, this one, the 201%, 201.5%, that is actually just divided by 10 for shotgun. So for example, like Guilty, she has a 231% attack damage, and that is actually just divided by 10 for each pellet. So it's actually 23% plus or minus for Guilties. If they increase the number of pellets based on how they change it, they said the total damage amount does not change. That means that instead of dividing it by 10, they're just dividing it by 15. And at the end of the day, it's basically the same amount of damage. So in terms of increasing the number of pellets, I am not sure what they're trying to go with this, because it's entering full burst. It says here entering full burst, so by the time you full burst, it doesn't increase like your energy gain. I don't know what's the practical use of having more hits other than like certain situations where, for example, the hit rate enemies where they put up the shield. You guys have encountered it in campaign where they put up shield and you have to hit them a certain amount of time. Yeah, what does that mean, right? The hit rate, that is increasing the likelihood of like hitting the core. So to give you guys an example, this is what the different hit rates are. So this is on the right side is like 11.81% hit rate, and then this one is like 56% hit rate, 62. You can see the circle is getting smaller and smaller. Let me zoom in real quick. You see the circle is getting smaller and smaller, and at 100% it's like really small right here. So that's what hit rate is doing. The spread is a lot more closer the higher your hit rate is. So hit rate is good for shotguns, obviously, and it will make you likely to hit the core also. So that's why hit rate is really good, but there's not many units right now that can really take advantage of this other than primarily Sugar, and Noir is technically good, but then you have to keep in mind that Noir is alongside with Blanc, which is burst 2. Leona is also a burst 2 unit, and I don't think you would rent to burst with Leona instead of Blanc, because Blanc has like a 10-second debuff to the enemies instead. Meanwhile, like Leona is increasing the crit damage and crit rate. The more pellets you have, the more crits you can land. No, that doesn't make any sense, because okay, just to give an example, right? If you have like a 30% crit rate and you have 10 pellets right here, and you multiply, and then you have like, you know, 150 attack with like, I just made it simplified, 200% attack damage. At the end of the day, your damage is like 345 damage. But then if you have 15 pellets and 150 attack, 200% damage, what's happening now is instead of 30 per pellet, you're doing 20 per pellet. But then the way you're gonna multiply all of these still is going to be your damage is going to be still equivalent to 345, and there is a chance that it can get to 50 because of like the rounding. Sure, yeah, like maybe this one will become 5 pellets instead of 4.5. Obviously, you know, because pellets are like a whole number instead of like a half number. But on average, if you're just multiplying that same percentage of 30% crit rate or 33% crit rate, right? If I say 33% crit rate, so it's still gonna be roughly, there's still gonna be the same thing. So the only thing that it really will do is maybe less likely to miss with the hit rate. But then if you're building hit rate, as you can see here again, you're trying to make it so that you're not really, none of them are gonna miss, like with higher hit rate. So it's so weird that this increased number of pellets, I think we just have to figure out what it actually does in terms of practical usage. So I could see, for example, with summer anise, I would do like a volume plus Leona plus summer anise. I could see that happening. We could do a last bullet, or obviously if you're building a shotgun team, then you would do Tove instead. We have already figured out that Tove is also good instead of litter. Tove was doing more for a shotgun team than litter. So in that situation, you probably don't want summer anise in a Tove team. Weird what they're trying to go in this. It's definitely like crit rate, crit damage, hit rate shotgun team, which is still a niche right now. Not a lot of people are still willing to build that. One thing I gotta tell though is when the boss is within effective range of a shotgun, they do really a lot of damage. When all those pellets start hitting, they do a lot of damage that is actually matching up with a lot of like the DPS. One big example probably was Guilty Modernia Solar Raid. She was actually worth to be put in the Bunny's team in replacement for Modernia. Now obviously Guilty was elemental advantage, but still, like out of a lot of the shotgun, actually I would even say Sugar was actually also useful in that. So season 6 Modernia, there were actually teams with Sugar in it, and it was actually with the Bunny's team. And sometimes so this Modernia Sugar was in there in that Bunny's team, and you can also see Guilty being used as well. Not both at the same time, but if you remove Sugar, Guilty was also replaced instead of Modernia. Shotgun team, when all of their bullets actually hit the enemy, is pretty strong. So it's not something to really scoff at. It has something to do with the really high attack percentage damage. If you don't have Tove, yeah, we're gonna have to see the substitute. I could see volume being like a good unit alongside with Leona. And yeah, there is definitely a huge emphasis on getting hit rate on your rolls if you want to, because since the effective range is going to be likely, the way I see it is going from 25% to 45%. I would imagine she would try to make it similar to assault rifle effective range. That's my guess on it. Then with farther away bosses, you're definitely gonna need a lot of hit rate so that your bullets are more likely to hit the boss. Overall, the way I see it, critical rate on skill 1 and effective range, this is likely going to be pretty important. This is likely going to scale the effective range as well. And then the hit rate, shotguns do need it, so you're gonna need a lot of that. And then critical, it depends on how the scaling is gonna be. Yeah, Sugar does have a buff on crit rate and a buff on hit rate when she's bursting. 33% on Sugar. 11.81 times 4 plus 33, 80% plus 20% is 100%, just enough for sugar to have 100% hit rate. So if you actually have 4 tier 11 hit rate overloads plus max burst on sugar plus Leona, you would actually have 100%. And I have a feeling that we're just missing one more unit for shotgun, because we have Tove, we have sugar, and then we have Leona now. Like, sure, Drake is there, but the question is, would we use Drake? There might be a last burst 3 shotgun. I could see that. Isabel, chat, you guys can keep coping on Isabel. Chat, you're not gonna make Isabel use her burst, okay? She has a full burst time reduction. You're wasting a slot if you use her. Sure, she has criticals on here. These numbers are so outdated. And I don't even understand why did they go for 45 seconds here on these buffs when you have full burst time reduction. They need a cooldown reduction. They need to rework Isabel if they really want to. You look at the other units out there, and also look at this, 170% for every 15 seconds. You know the Scarlet Black Shadow? I can tell you it's twice as fast and it's 1.5k, okay? This does make the shotguns look a little bit better, but I feel like they're still missing in the Exodia team. We need one more burst 3. And also you have to keep in mind we're using Guilty, right? Like, Guilty is probably the biggest benefit on shotgun DPS, and that will take up the burst 2 slot also. So you really want another burst 3. And right now, sure, she does really work. It looks like she really works well with sugar. There's like a synergy with the critical rate buff and then hit rate, and that will basically make sugar a lot more closer to having a 100% hit rate. Yeah, right now you're kind of forced to not having any cooldown reduction unit, which makes it even worse because these are full burst effects. You want to be full bursting a lot more often. So I don't know, like, did they want us to use with Tove or do they want us to use with volume? And there is no any burst 3 CDR units. So yeah, I feel like she is part of the Exodia for shotgun team. There's still a missing last piece. I feel like that would probably wrap this all out. In any case, chat, you know how it is for my account. I'm already invested in Tove 997. Overloaded already. Our sugar is fully overloaded also. My Drake is also like 3 overloads, and my Guilty is also 4 overloads. We have invested on the shotgun team. Yes, it is gonna be up to me. Oh god, and then when she's coming out, obviously, oh god, I'm gonna have to max dispersed. Oh god, no. Okay, all right, so for those that are interested in seeing if she's gonna be good or not in a shotgun team, well, you guys know what it is. Any hit rate on that sugar, charge attack, critical rate, critical and max ammo. No, oh my god, you're gonna make, no, don't do this to me. We're gonna be on the re-rolling spree. Oh my god. My rocks, no. Oh god.